What's up? Welcome in to Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. We're presented by the Illinois Department of Insurance. Hey, have you ever had a neighbor help you out in a situation? Maybe you needed help shoveling snow or fixing that flat. Well, that's sort of how it works with Get Covered Illinois, the state's official health insurance marketplace. Get Covered Illinois is here to help you find health insurance that fits your budget. They got hundreds of people whose only job is to help you for free. That includes insurance navigators at local nonprofits and insurance brokers certified by the state. Find the help and the health insurance that you need at getcoveredillinois.gov. Again, getcoveredillinois.gov. They are here to help. Glad that you're with me here on Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. Thanks so much for downloading the podcast and checking us out as well on YouTube, youtube.com. Hey, check out Under the Hood. We've got so much college football, Bears in the NFL. We've got Major League Baseball wrap up. We'll have a guest on about that to wrap up the season as the Dodgers win the championship, and so much more. But this show is for the Chicago Bulls and the NBA. And we're going to hear from Charles Taylor Jr., of course, from CTJReport.net. We'll get a chance to hear from Charles, who's a huge Chicago sports fan. He's got his own blog, and you can find him on social media. He'll be with us momentarily. But first, let's talk about only the Bulls. Only the Bulls. The one and only the Chicago Bulls. So this has been a really great stretch for the Bulls in October into November, defeating the Detroit Pistons 115-111, winning on the road against Orlando 110-98, the Atlanta Hawks, which was an amazing game, the Sacramento Kings with Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan returning, the Knicks at home, and then the Sixers on the 4th of November 113-111. So I want to make sure I give the Bulls their flowers because this is a great start for them. And there's some interesting things about this Bulls team that I want to point out. But first, with Kobe White, I thought that the Bulls would have some struggles being able to hit open shots and three-point shots and pace and space and all that. But there is one guy that's smiling every day. And even though it's hard to find a picture of this man smiling very often, but you just know that Billy Donovan is pretty happy because what he has here is Josh Giddey, who has taken a major leap in his production. And if you take a look, Giddey has been amazing because he has been the leader and primary playmaker for this team, and he plays with confidence. A great team leader, great as far as being able to facilitate the offense and getting his as well. There's more clarity with him offensively on the floor, being able to get his and also make Vooch better than others on this basketball team. And you take a look at some of the numbers for the Bulls offensively, it's great. The transition scoring, the ball movement, the pace, the touches, it's all there. And I just know one thing is that Billy Donovan is not one that likes the idea of the ball just sticking in one spot. That's why it drove him crazy with Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan. DeRozan had to have his mid-range shorty from the foul line down, the throw in mid-range shots. Even though this is a three-point happy league, DeRozan had to have his space and his time to be able to score. And with Zach LaVine, he could have a great game. Then he could have a terrible game. He can have an in-between game, and then he can have a horrible game. But the point is that these are guys that need the basketball to be able to control the game, and neither one of them is a superstar in the NBA. That's the whole thing. Like, they're very good players, but superstars when you see them. They're stars, not superstars, and that's why they're on the Sacramento Kings. But I look at this team, and I just take a look at the defensive roster, the adjustments that the Bulls have been able to make, and just having Giddey on the team really, really helps. Again, this is all without Kobe White. And so I'm watching this team, and I'm looking at what happened the other night. Look at the numbers for Josh Giddey. Just take a look at him. 29 points. Look how many assists he had. He was just incredible last night for the Chicago Bulls. And so I just like that the Bulls are playing free and easy. It's just great to watch. And so we're going to talk to Charles about this. I really believe that there is a difference between church and state with the Chicago Bulls. If I say Chicago Bulls, you think, especially for this year, you think about the front office. You think about Arturas Karnisovas and you think about Mark Eversley. But I think that we can go through this podcast without having to be able to nail these guys and just be able to enjoy what the Bulls have been able to provide. And that's just on the floor. I just know the United Center is up for grabs when I see this Bulls team perform. It's great to see the energy back at the United Center to check out the Chicago Bulls. I've been watching all the home games. And I'm just like, wow, look how the fans are behind them. Now, I know one thing, and I've said this many times on the show. Why do you go to the games? Why do you go to see the Chicago Bulls knowing that more times than not, you're not going to get what you want? Well, you know what? I can't say that now. I can't say that now. I can't say that you're not getting, because listen, they've had one loss and it was at Madison Square Garden. You know that when you're going to play a team back-to-back games, that one of the teams are going to make an adjustment. Mike Brown made the adjustment. The Bulls lost their first game of the season. But I just really like that the Bulls have paid attention to detail. Um, Watching what they've been able to do. Their offensive rating, points per 100 possessions, is up, and the roster changes plus internal growth are paying dividends for the team. And so, for me, watching the fans get into it and just get really excited about what's happening with Bulls basketball, that's really cool. It really is. From the Chicago sports landscape, with the Blackhawks looking better and the Chicago Bears a winning football team at this point, and the Bulls getting off to a great start, positive, all positive. Now, maybe if you had the over in the win total, maybe you have a shot. Or maybe the Bulls come back to earth because of their schedule. They don't have the circus at the United Center anymore. Used to call the circus trip. We had this long road trip, but they do have a long road trip at the end of November into December. And so that really tells a story of how good the Bulls are when you're playing on the road in an arduous, schedule. So we'll just see what happens. But I like him. I like Bazelis. And these players are playing for one another, moving the ball side to side. The amount of assists that the Bulls have had, we'll break down those numbers with Charles in just a minute. But those are things I like, is that you have unselfish basketball. You know why? Because you don't have one star. You don't have one star on the team. You just have a number of players, young players, 25 and younger, that are just working together because they listen to the coaching staff. Anytime you see the amount of assists to field goal ratio that the Bulls have, that means that the coaching staff is locked into the players. The players are doing exactly what the coaching staff says, and unselfish basketball. So I just think it's been great so far. Okay, so some news and notes in the NBA I want to get to as well before we hear from Charles and really take apart this Chicago Bulls team and talk about how this start's been great. All right, we will hustle around the NBA, and we're going to hear from Charles Taylor, my buddy. We'll talk about the Bulls in just a moment. Just want to go through some news and notes, and I do have a message for a once big superstar in the NBA. But first, the Utah Jazz center Walker Kessler is undergoing season-ending surgery from a torn labrum in his left shoulder. And so he is done for the season. He had 14 points and 10 rebounds and 2 blocks and almost 2 steals a game before his injury. He was shooting 70% from the field. So Walker Kessler out for the Utah Jazz. That's a huge hit to that team. The congressional scrutiny has intensified when it comes to the NBA in overseeing gambling integrity. A U.S. House committee met with NBA officials in Washington yesterday regarding an investigation that has netted 34 arrests and upcoming indictments for persons tied to the league. Wow. So coaches and former players, we mentioned Chauncey Billups in past podcasts and Terry Rozier, they're implicated or under investigation. Billups has an arraignment for November 24th. Rozier is on December 8th. And the committee has flagged possible inconsistencies in how the league handles similar infractions. For example, comparing Rozier's case with a lifetime ban of Jonte Porter. So let's keep our eyes on that. That is for sure. We'll talk about the Bulls in a moment. I got some great stats on Josh Giddey. But the Brooklyn Nets, by the way, are 0-7. Do you remember there was a time when Brooklyn started, when the Nets moved to Brooklyn, how cool it'd be. They're in Brooklyn, New York, and in an eclectic area, and it's going to be like the cool place to go. Jay-Z was a minority owner, and now this thing is just falling off the tracks. They had the cool Russian owner that was on 60 Minutes and jet skiing and all this stuff, and now the Nets are just nothing. They're back to being the Nets. Bad. Brooklyn has begun the season 0-7, tied the worst start in franchise history. The team cites lack of veteran leadership and inexperienced point guard play as young. It's a tanking situation or a rebuild situation for the Nets. I know it's early, but it's just like that dog don't hunt. Also, the Golden State Warriors are going to take on the Sacramento Kings on Wednesday night, but the Warriors may be undermanned. Steph Curry listed with an illness, Jimmy Butler back issue. So you got to keep our eyes on the Golden State Warriors because just like the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, until they're dead, they always still have a chance. As long as Steph Curry can shoot the basketball, always an opportunity for the Golden State Warriors to be in the playoff mix. So we'll keep our eyes on that. All right, we'll talk Bulls with Charles Taylor right around the corner right here on Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. We're presented by our good friends over at the Illinois Department of Insurance. Go to the website. It is getcoveredillinois.gov. Again, getcoveredillinois.gov for the Illinois Department of Insurance. And please subscribe to the podcast. If you're just stumbling onto this NBA content, hit the subscribe button. That way you never miss an episode or a short that we have on the NBA and other sports, of course, across the board, right here on Under the Hood. Indeed, we are talking about the Chicago Bulls. The Bulls have been on a tremendous run. There's some numbers we want to talk about, but of course, we have to bring in the man. He is always on social media talking about the Chicago Bulls at ctjreport.net. It is Charles Taylor back with us here on Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. Sir, we appreciate the time.
Appreciate as always for you having me on.
Mhm.
Let's just go ahead and get into it because the last time we talked about the Bulls, um, I had some very disparaging things to say about them. So yeah, I'm prepared to eat a little crow.
Yeah, I think that we should because they're off to a great start. Let's put it this way: I'd rather be the Bulls than the Brooklyn Nets. I talked about earlier; they haven't won a ball game. Like they're already
Mhm.
looking at like the draft.
Yeah.
They're winless so far as we record this. But Charles Taylor, let me just give you some numbers here about Josh Giddey first.
Mm.
With 29 points and 15 rebounds and 12 assists, 23, 12, and 12, 32 points, 10 rebounds, 9 assists, 20 points, 8 rebounds, 12 assists, 18, 13, and 5, 21, 8, and 3, 19, 5, and 11 for Josh Giddey of the Chicago Bulls. I just want to get your overall thoughts because to me, that's the guy right now. That's the guy that's leading them. And I did not expect this all-star type performance,
Mhm.
all-star worthy performance from Josh
Mhm.
Giddey this early in the season.
Yeah. I know when we last talked, we talked about that 15-5 stretch, which we thought was like smoke and mirrors. And, it was toward the end of the season. So if they weren't playing a playoff team, it really didn't matter. No, Josh Giddey is making it matter because he is picking up right where he left off from the end of last season. And he has been the guy that has facilitated the offense. That's been kind of the go-to guy. He was the guy that had the assist last night for Vooch to hit that game-winning three. He has been at the forefront of this 6-1 start, and the only question is, can he keep up this type of pace for an 82 game season? Because right now he's averaging almost a triple double, to start these first 7 games off. So he has been on a roll, and I think he has helped. He's kind of helped the kind of the young guys, although he's kind of young himself, but he's been in the league for a
Hmm.
few years already. But he's really helped them develop. You can see Buzelis, plays with a bit more, confidence. When he's out there on the floor with Giddy. Vooch looks like a young dude again, playing with Giddy. So he's been the guy that's been stirring everything up. The only thing you have to ask yourself now is what happens when Kobe comes back. and how are they able to mesh? Now they played together during that 20 game stretch, last year where they played off of each other.
Yeah.
Really interesting to see now that Buzelis is starting to take a more active role into the offense. You've seen Trey Jones overperform. When Io gets back, how does he figure into the mix? And once all of this comes together, it'll be really interesting to see what this Bulls team actually is.
We have to give Giddy his flowers because Giddy of the Bulls, he had tremendous output, 29 points, 15 rebounds, and 12 assists to spearhead that victory. 24 points down, beating the Sixers 113 to 111. That effort made him the first Bulls player since Micheal Jordan in
Oh,
88-89 to post back-to-back triple doubles. Okay, so he
mm,
walks with Mike in that regard. I mean, that is a tremendous accomplishment for Josh Giddey, and again, a man who underachieved. I thought is with Oklahoma City, or just a young player. They thought they was going to get
mhm,
more. But let me just tell you who the happiest person is. Not just the average Bulls fan. It's not C. Red Fred, who's been on talk radio for years talking about the Bulls, whether they're good or bad, he still loves his Bulls. The happiest man is this man here, and that is Billy Donovan. I cannot find a smiling picture of him, Charles. He's just always grimacing and chewing gum. But
yeah.
uh, Billy Donovan is the happiest guy, and I know why, because of what you just laid out. So no Io, who is down, and no Kobe White. So that means that the team has to conform to what the coaching staff is asking. You have to move that ball. You got
Mhm,
to get it up across the timeline on a make or miss quickly. Get into your
mhm,
offense quickly. Move that ball side to side. This is Billy is the happiest guy when he has less than, because he's like, oh shit, I can coach now.
mm,
It's like it's not like the shooter du jour of Kobe or Zach or
mhm,
DeMar, where you got to wait for DeMar to set up and just like, all right, let me get my space, clear out, so I can get my mid range. Or it's not Levine on a pull up, going 4 for 30 from three. It's not even Kobe in some ways, where Kobe can shoot the ball well, but sometimes has an off night. This ball hops to get high percentage shots. So that guy, I know Billy's very happy knowing that, okay, we're down. Okay, well, so these guys have to listen to me. And so it's paid dividends so far.
it really has paid dividends, and you made a great point about the if you want to call it the black hole that was, DeMar DeRozan or Zach, Levine needing to get up his shots. With both of those guys gone, and even with Kobe injured, they have to play an up tempo style of basketball to just get that volume number of shots. Um, the interesting thing about last night's game, though, was I saw a lot of standing around, kind of reverting to, portions of last year where they were waiting for someone to, create or even get their own shot or something like that. And it seemed like you know, at some point during that third quarter, it seemed like Billy Donovan was like, "Hey guys, can we get back to our offense? Can we get back to up tempo style? Can we crash the boards? Can we play a little bit more effort?" And you saw that really from the midway point of the third quarter all the way to the finish. They played with a different energy. They played with a different spark, and that all again starts with Josh Giddey. He's been kind of the glue to all of this. I don't think I've seen someone like Josh Giddey just be able to just flip that switch. We were used to it watching Jordan and Pippen, through
Yeah.
all those years. You would see Derrick Rose, from that point, flip that switch and be able to get his team to move and play differently. Josh seems to have that spark that he can get things going with his team. Would I prefer the Bulls to be down 24 points, at the midway point through the third quarter? No. But the way that they were able to come back and play and get back in the game and eventually win the game, really speaks to I think the team's listening um to Billy Donovan. I think they're just really feeding off of each other. And it's fun basketball to watch. They're shooting 40% from the 3-point line. You know where that ranks, Hoodie? Second.
No, where's that? Yeah.
Second.
Yeah.
Second in the
Yeah.
league. with 3 point shooting. This is one of the worst 3 point shooting teams in the league over the last several years. So this up tempo style is playing dividends. The only question I keep asking myself is this sustainable for 82 games?
Well, is it sustainable for you to be a top 8 team in the East? The answer, if you keep shooting at that clip, yes. Because we just know that the deadline, the Bulls won't do anything. So now it's up to
Hmm.
those guys to stay healthy and continue to
Hmm.
play unselfish basketball. I know that some will look at it, Charles, as like try hard ball, whatever, just like little. But you know what? If you're doing the little things, it's gonna add up. You have a number of guys that are 25 and younger that are hungry, that want to eat, and they want to be
Yeah.
able to. But it's going to be max effort. You have no other choice if you're the Bulls to be a max effort team when you don't have a star on the team. That's
Hmm.
what it is, right? For on some nights, as you know in this league, Charles, you just like, we may not all have it, but he's got it going in the fourth quarter. We'll just give it to Ant. We'll just give it to KD. We'll just give it to LeBron. We'll give it to Steph. But just for years, it's just like, yeah, maybe collectively we're not connected, but
Hmm.
that guy can get us through, get to the foul line, hit big shots, and you win games. With the Bulls, you got no other choice. This is what we've been seeing for a while here. Like even like post Zach, it is this is who we are. We have to stay connected, or we're gonna get our ass busted. When you don't have one guy, and I think that Kobe White, I can make the argument he's a top 30 player because somebody got to
Yeah.
be 30. But
Yeah.
but 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 here's the thing: he's not a superstar, and the Bulls have been bereft of a superstar for quite a long time. So I guess my point is like they gotta stay connected, or they're gonna lose a lot of games.
Yeah, we saw that pretty much through the first 2.5 quarters of last night's game. What happens if they're not connected, if they're not moving without the basketball, crashing the boards, really playing that up tempo style that Billy Donovan needs them to play. They're going to get run off the court, and that's what Philly was doing to them. For the majority of that game until they, like I said, flipped that switch and turned up the intensity on the boards and turned up the intensity on defense and was able to claw their way back into this game. This is, like you said, this is who they are. And once they get Kobe back,
Yeah.
Kobe's going to have to understand that this is who we are. And now, how do I blend my talents in, to keep this train going? Because they right now have a real comfortable style with how they're playing basketball right now, and they're just doing all the things that we aren't expecting them to do. Them crashing the boards, them being, I believe, top 8 in rebounding, that's an undersized team. I mean, Vooch is your legitimate big on that team. The other guy that's your legitimate big isn't even playing. It's Zach Collins. Other guys have to step up. Giddy's, averaging double figures in rebounds. You can
Yeah.
see Patrick Williams out there playing with a different energy. That's what they have to do in order to be, competitive. Now, when we finally get to games against, Cleveland, or when Wemby comes to town next week with the Spurs, or when they got to play Denver or some of these other teams, they're on the schedule for the rest of this month. Then we'll get to see how they play against teams that have one of them ones. We'll see how they react with Wemby. We'll see how they react with the Joker. We'll see how they react with Spider Mitchell. That's going to tell a story. They've already passed a couple of tests already. They got the split with the Knicks, which I didn't think was going to happen. You know,
Hmm.
they came back and beat Philly, although you could say Philly kind of self-destructed, during that game. A lot of that had to do with the Bulls as well, and how they were able to change the tempo of the game. But we'll see as the kind of the rest of this month and into December goes. Steps coming and Golden State. So we'll see how they play against teams that, like you said, has that guy to go to if I need a shot to win a game.
You want to hear from Josh Giddey?
Sure, why not?
All right, let's hear from Josh Giddey, who's talked to in the locker room after the game. Some thoughts from Giddey about how excited he was to see the Bulls defeat the 76ers down 24 and they win the ball game.
Just the nature of the comeback, the win itself. Like, is this? Do you believe in signature wins? Do you feel like that's a way to describe tonight? Tonight was one of the best wins that I've ever been a part of. Just in terms of how they moved it down to that. Early in the third, we're down 20, 25 points, and to got that one and dig ourselves out of the hole that we did was unbelievable. And as I said, it was 10 11 guys not contributed, and I thought both units, first and second, did an unbelievable job. Probably in the last 18 minutes of the game to really bring it back. So we rebounded, we were physical, we did the things we needed to do, and to be the team that we want to be, that has to be a 48-minute thing. We can't wait till we're down 20 to start doing those things. So as I said, incredible fight back, and that's a very good win in front of a big crowd and against a team that's been as hot as anyone in the league. They were 5-1 coming into tonight, and feeling good, getting guys back healthy. So yeah, great win. Thank you.
No, thank you, Josh Giddey, who spoke to the media after the game as the Bulls win. One of the biggest wins he's ever been a part of. Not, again, a young guy, but
Mhm.
that has to be exciting that he was really the linchpin for all of it. Look, CJ, look, you're talking about six guys in double figures as we've laid out, like Trey Jones and Kevin Herter and Buzelis, Vucevic, Giddy, Dusumu when he comes back from injury. That's a lot of scoring. That's a lot of effort by the Bulls. And he mentioned, by the way, the crowd. So, again, we have to just go back to our season preview for the Bulls. I know that somebody on this show that said, why would you go to the games knowing that the Bulls are going to be underachievers? So just like that foul that was necessary, I'll raise my hand on that. I'll raise my hand. I did ask the question, are you going to see the other team or are you going to see the Bulls? You watch the games like I do. I'm so impressed by the fans standing up as if this is a Jordan era. The noise. I watch a lot of league. I watch a lot of
Mhm.
NBA. Unless it's they're doing giveaways or unless their team is dominating. A lot of buildings aren't very noisy. The Bulls fans are into it. I think that that's cool because for you and I, we're like, Jordan, Pippen, and Cartwright and Phil is not
Yeah.
coming through the door. Why are
Yeah.
you? I mean, so why do you go? Well, I mean, there are some diehards that said that's my team, and when they pan over to the fans on with the camera, I'm like, shit, they're up, standing
Mhm.
up, applauding, cheering, getting loud. Good on Bulls fans. I think that's awesome that go to the United Center.
Yeah, they're invested, and
Mm,
this is their team. This is the team that they cheer for, good, bad, or indifferent. And even after the Jordan years, the Derrick Rose era, they stayed because I think at the heart of it, Chicago is a basketball. I mean, we're a football town, but it's also a basketball city with a great
mm,
lineage of great players that have come up through the Chicago area over the decades. We know ball, so when we're going to the United Center, we're not just going because Benny, is flailing, popcorn everywhere and taking pictures with the kids. you know,
right.
there's actual, NBA level basketball being played. And, I think the fans of when they go to the United Center, that's what they're looking to see. Hopefully it's with the team that they cheer for. And they've gotten that so far this year, but they just love NBA basketball and they're invested. I think they're informed and they know what they're watching. And that's why, when the camera pans out, when the crowd is
Yeah.
cheering, they get it. They get it. They know what they're watching, and I think if you're an NBA team or just a sports team in general, that's all you really want from your fans when they come to the stadium is to get loud, because that gives them energy to keep playing, and they like fans who are invested, and Bulls fans have always been that.
So we about to go to Milwaukee on Friday, right? Because they play the Bucks. You want to go?
I mean, I'll
You
check
know
with the
you
boss
can't
to
go.
see if
You know you
yeah,
didn't.
no, I can't
You know
go.
you didn't.
whenever whenever you hear someone start with, "Hey, let me check with,"
It's- I mean, and we gassing up the Bulls pretty good. And by the way, deserved. Now it's Milwaukee. Now, by the way, it's not impossible for them to beat the Bucks. Like it's. I mean, it's you got to get through Giannis. But the point is, like that's a great test. Bulls fans will travel. They'll be there at
Mhm.
Fiserv Forum to root them on. But still, that's a tough match. Mentioned the matchup on Saturday. That's a hella back to back. By the way, Milwaukee on
Yeah,
Friday, then Cleveland on Saturday. You gonna know who the
yeah.
f you are
Mhm.
but after that. And then San Antonio is really good. Winbenyama, by the way, let me tell you something. I need to know, Charles, like, does this this whole formula of being able to get the next big thing, does it get better or bigger than Wembanyama? Like, so legit 7'7", 7'5", right?
Mhm.
We all had a growth spurt in summer. You recall this, right? You were like, you were
Right.
a certain height, and then all of a sudden you had that summer growth. How is
Yeah.
someone that's already 7'1" has a summer growth and he comes into camp, he's like, yeah, I'm 7'4" now. And he's not even 25 yet, so there's still more room to grow. Like, what is this? Like, so what's the next thing? What's the next mutant that we're gonna have in the league? It was Zion, it was
Mhm.
Giannis, and so now it's this young man, Wembanyama. Like, is there someone's gonna be 8 foot? Is that the next iteration of basketball player?
It has to be because the things that I'm seeing Wemby do, and we like you went through the lineage, where it was Giannis, where it was Zion, where we watched the young LeBron James, back in 2003. It was like we're seeing dudes
Ron?
that we have never like seen before play the game of basketball at a way different level. Hey, you and I are old enough to remember a 6'9" guard, out of Michigan State playing point. And I was like, come on, man, he's 6'9". He can't play point guard. Urban Magic Johnson. I mean, it's always this next, guy that's gonna come up. Wemby is the only word I can use for him right now is just unreal because that he should
Yeah.
not be able to do some of the things that he's able to do on the court, but he's doing it. And you build around that kid, and San Antonio might be looking at another dynasty perhaps because he's just different. That's just a different dude that's on the court right now. And there's not much you can really do with him. You can try to body him, get physical with him, but I mean, the man can step back and hit 25-foot shots. I mean, there's not
Yeah.
much you can really do with him when he's locked in like that. It's fun to watch. It really is.
You're going to have to talk to the warden at some point about getting out of the burbs and coming down and watching basketball because you're part of Under the Hood. You are a correspondent for Under the Hood, and then you have your own CTJreport.net. So it's actually work. So she's going to have to understand that. So you're going to have to, because you can't, you got to go to the games. We have to go to the games
Oh yeah,
together now. If they're this
absolutely.
good, we got to pick a game. So this is
Yeah.
on you though.
All right. We'll,
So
we'll,
grow.
we'll
So
I know what you're getting ready to say. Yeah. Let's pick out a game.
I was gonna say, like, yeah, yeah, get your balls out the pantry where she
Yeah.
put them and be like, I'm going to work. And she going
Yeah.
like, you already went to work. No, 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 no. This is podcasting and writing work. You see, and so you have to let her know. That's why I tell this one down the hall. I tell her like, I'm. She's like, you already went to work. Like, no, no. This is the games. This is the real work, right?
Yeah. So yeah, something tells me she'll accept that. She'll accept that answer if it's work. Because I
It's
need
only
to report on
because
the
it's
game
only
so we can do positive. Yeah.
Yeah, it's only because I'm saying it because she trusts me. That's why. That's why. That's the only reason. Is because I was like, if Hood said it, then you better go ahead and do that podcast. Like that's how she rolls. I know
Yeah.
we haven't met yet formally, like in person, but that's how she rolls. She'll believe me before she believe you. So
Oh,
that's
absolutely.
why this is yes. So that's why I'm trying to get you out the crib, and you're welcome.
Yeah.
Um,
All right.
CJ, I want to do something that I haven't done in a while. I want you to be privy to a meeting I had this morning.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. It's regarding the GOAT, the man who really made this logo, and Micheal Jordan.
Hmm.
So I want to talk to you about this meeting we had. We had a content call for Good Karma Brands. And so the call was talking about Micheal Jordan being on the NBA on NBC. And obviously, last time that we did our podcast together, we talked about the new and the nostalgia of the
Hmm.
NBA on NBC and how cool it is. Like, it reminds us when we were kids. Like, the only reason why that this is cool is because Jordan was on there. When you heard the John Tesh music, I'd play it
Yeah.
now, but I don't want to have any YouTube strikes. But the John Tesh music and the round ball rock and just like the voiceover from Bob Costas and the gravitas of like the NBA on NBC. And I had chills like that first game, and just knowing like the open and just the celebration of basketball back on the on NBC. And so the content call was talking about Michael Jordan, and the subject was whether or not Michael Jordan, being a correspondent, is working. Number one, is it working? Or number two, did NBC give false advertising by saying that Jordan is a correspondent? So to delve into this further, there were some people on the call, and it's just like a lot of people from the company, where there were younger cats that were like, "Yeah, NBC false advertised because Michael Jordan is a contributor, but he's not like an analyst." And I just sat back. I usually just like listen and take it in. I cut that camera on so quick. I'm just like, I raise my hand because you're supposed to hit the little button, raise your hand in the meeting.
Yeah.
Little hand goes up. Jay Hood, your thoughts? And I was like, look, Michael Jordan is a special contributor. He's not here to break down the Charlotte Hornets or the New Orleans Pelicans. He wasn't going to be in a booth on Amazon next to Blake Griffin. He wasn't going to be with Mello on NBC. Like, he's too cool for that. It ain't like Dominique Wilkins, who I wonder why he still does every game for the Atlanta Hawks, and he's great. He does
Yeah.
every game doing color. I'm like, your money good, bro? Did you spend it all in Magic City? Like what's up? You're doing a great like that. Like, good for him. But what I said was, and tell me if I'm wrong, and I know you will. Michael Jordan is a special contributor sitting down with Mike Tirico, talking about certain subjects around the league. It pays for itself from an advertising standpoint and also a
Mhm.
curiosity standpoint. Young cats are telling me like, oh, he doesn't say anything, it's bad content. It's Michael Jordan. That's bad content. Tell me what's your thoughts on that, about whether or not you feel like that is paying off for Jordan having his two appearances so far with Mike Tirico.
All right, we're going to play a game called What Did You Expect? Like, really, what did you expect when you found out that Michael Jordan was going to be as a special contributor on the NBA on NBC? You knew what this was. You should have known what this was. He was going to sit down with someone. Didn't realize it was going to be Mike Tirico, but they were going to talk about basketball, things that he experienced while he was playing, and how that kind of relates to the game today. If anybody thought that Michael Jordan was going to be sitting in a studio booth with Maria Taylor, sitting up here talking about X's and O's, I mean, you obviously don't
Right.
know you don't know Michael Jordan. Uh, that's what he was brought in. He was brought in to bring in eyes. And if you've got the NBA on NBC back after a couple of decades, what's the best way to try to bring eyes, into it? Because usually during halftime, if it's, unless it's Charles Barkley and the guys, now on ESPN, most of your halftime shows, it's kind of on in the background. You're not really paying attention. You might be watching a few highlights here and there. But what's the best way to bring in eyes, viewers? Oh, a conversation with Michael Jordan. You're immediately watching. It's Michael Jordan. Like, that should have been self-explanatory. So for you to like just buddy in and be like, do y'all understand what this is totally on the money. I heard that nonsense too. Oh, he's supposed to be doing uh supposed to be talking about schemes and plays. I'm like, it's Michael. He's not going to
It's
do that.
Michael, yeah.
That
It's yeah,
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 and actually,
I didn't
and
understand it.
I don't need his, I don't, yeah, I don't need his like deep analysis on teams that are struggling. I like his thoughts, and not because he's the goat. It's only because, um, he's a paid contributor, because I understand the sales part of things, right? If you in a sales meeting and you're just like, hey, we have Michael Jordan that's going to be doing, of course, yeah, like if I'm a Fortune 500 company, I want a piece of that. Give me a piece of
Mhm.
that. Like Jordan's going to be on there. I want my brand to be attached to that because it's Jordan. I know he doesn't play anymore, and he's comfortable with his family, his new family. That he's a guy here he still loves the game. He want to bust the ass of today's players if he could. As he said, if I
Right.
could take a pill, he would bust everyone's ass. But he's not doing it. So I just think here's where we got it messed up. Here's where we got it messed up. So this is generational, because for today's generation, the basketball conversation becomes takes, or sports conversation becomes takes, right?
Mhm.
Michael Jordan is not there to give like these crazy wild takes that will go viral. He will say something. He's already said a few things, but it's
Mhm.
not in the context of anger or trying to get yourself over or just trying to be able to just win the argument. He ain't trying to argue with nobody because he's the GOAT. He's the greatest. And even if you don't think he's the greatest, he's in that team photo of the greatest players to ever play the game. I know that
Yeah.
there's younger viewers and listeners of this podcast that believe LeBron's your guy. All good, all good. That's your Jordan. An older generation might be listening to this show or watching this show and be like, no, it's Kareem. Like if you talk to Kendall Gill, and I'll make sure that you talk to Kendall Gill one day. He will back you against the wall to tell you how great Kareem was, and it will have you almost believing it at the end of the conversation. He thinks Kareem, high school, college, pro, like nobody can beat Kareem. All the rings, the championships, the acclaim, but and that's a great conversation. But Jordan is not there to be able to be a hot taker. But for this generation, they think he should be, and think it's false advertising. So, and what I said, and I'll tell you one other thing I said in the meeting. I said he's a special correspondent when we get into the political discourse of elections, especially for the United States, the seat of the United States president or whatever, you know who they'll usher in? They'll bring in Tom Brokaw on MSNBC. They'll bring in Ted Koppel on
Mhm.
CBS, right? They've never been like analysts before, but the gravitas, roll them
Mhm.
in. You've been a part of this coverage for 30 years, 40 years. What do you think about this whole thing? They're not there to give hot takes. They're there for presence, just like Jordan. So I think that
Yeah.
we got it fucked up a little bit when it comes to that. That's what I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's you mentioned a great point about the hot takes of today's generation, and a lot of former NBA players, whether it's Gilbert Arenas or a few other players. Draymond Green is playing, has his podcast. That's what that's there for. To be able to have these
Yeah.
hot takes. Have you know, conversations with other, former NBA players, where they talk about these things, or who's the GOAT, what, Jordan played with plumbers and all this other type of nonsense. It- Even Gilbert
Yeah.
Arenas and others, know better than that. But, that's what's going to get you, views and clicks, is a little bit of controversy. That's not what Michael's there to do. He's there to offer his thoughts on the game that he played in the era that he played, and he's going to offer his thoughts on kind of what he sees now. If anybody's expecting Michael to get up there and be like, "Yeah, I'm the GOAT," you know, none of these dudes can play with me. I get out there and kick their ass right now. No, no one's. Mike's not going to do that. He's never been that guy. He's always been the guy that's been very respectful and complimentary to players. Before his era, players after him. That's what he's going to do. Now, Mike may say some totally off the wall stuff. Once the cameras go off, but he knows what he's there
Hmm.
to do when the cameras go on. When the lights come on, he's there to give you, his viewpoint on things.
Two more items I want to talk to you about. I started off going around the NBA. See, check out the map. You see that? That's the NBA map. How about that? How about that?
Hmm.
The old NBA map. There's two things I want to talk to you about. One, if you look at the down south here, just east of Texas, is the New Orleans Pelicans. Zion Williamson is out again. I um, I just remember the hype with that man blowing out of his shoe in college, right? And we talk about what's the next big thing in college. You saw someone that was like a machine, the way he would walk, the shoulders, everything else, how big that guy was, like just a brick house. Carl Malone. You remember Malone was a big guy, but he was
Yeah.
supposed to be the next thing, the next big thing of Carl Malone. And Charles, he just keeps getting injured. This is a hamstring issue now. He's supposed to be in great shape in the off season. As a big guy, I'm not gonna make fun of the man's weight. I couldn't do that. I couldn't make fun of, but I just know that if I lived in New Orleans, that'd be tough if I was an athlete in New Orleans. But and hey, you have your own personal chef, but it don't stop you from going in and be like, man, powdered sugar on those donuts, man. I got to stop in. Like it's difficult. But for him, for the amount of money he's got, he can have a personal chef and he can eat right. But I just think that this is not about weight because he's in much better shape. It's just the body is broken down so much on him, and so now hamstring issue. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, I did. It was actually a concern of mine even while he was in college. For that one season at Duke, he played the game so violently with it, and I always wondered, how is that going to translate to the NBA because you can only play that not even recklessly. You can only play that violently for so long before your body just, begins to betray you. And it seemed like, really from jump when he got into the NBA that his body just, just started to break down on him. It's unfortunate. We're gonna look back and be like, Zion Williamson is going to be one of these, what ifs. What if he was able to stay healthy? What if he was able to keep his weight under control? Which again, it's New Orleans. It's hard to do. They've got some amazing food down there, but
Y'all,
that's that is what we're going to think about with Zion because he looked like he was going to be like the future of the NBA and to see his body just continually, just break down on him is just, you know, just sad to see because, like other players, that we thought would have, great careers, but their bodies, eventually betrays them. We just have to kind of watch Zion for the rest of his career kind of play as a shell of himself without that
yeah,
explosion, without that that speed, that quickness. Will he still be good if he can come back from the hamstring? Yeah, I'm sure he will. I'm sure he'll post his numbers. He'll have some crazy games where he throws up crazy numbers, but I don't think he's going to get back to that point of that hype that we had, when he first came into the league, and what we thought he could do, with the Pelicans. It's sad to watch, and unfortunately, we've seen quite a few players, over the years, have those type of injuries where they just couldn't keep their body together.
yeah. So all the best to him. But I mean, he's in good shape, but he's just again, just always on the injured list, and like still understand it, man. What could have been with him? Because I don't know
Hmm.
how he's able to salvage what he could have been. One other
Yeah.
story that I did not get to at the top, and that is this man right here, and that is John Morant. Okay, so John Morant. This is when you and I have the unk conversation with John Morant. Okay, so Tomas Ilsalo is the new head coach for the Memphis Grizzlies after the Grizzlies fired Taylor Jenkins. I don't think Taylor Jenkins should have been fired, but there was some in the organization, John Morant, that had a hard time with the offense, didn't like the offense. They're like, okay, we'll just fire Taylor Jenkins, a good coach, okay,
Mm-hmm.
strong offensive minded coach, and it's like they fired him. And I know this happens in the league all the time, so you know, I'm not crying for Taylor Jenkins because it's a short shelf life as an NBA coach unless you're Billy Donovan in a good spot. Some of these other coaches like Indiana Pacers with Rick Carlisle. So
Hmm.
that's cool. So I didn't know who this guy was, Il Salo. I'm like, okay, there's a David Blatt feel to this, right? It's just like,
Yeah.
okay, some international coach, didn't play in the league. That shit don't fly in the league, CJ. The players will listen, especially if you played. But if you didn't play, you better be connected to your stars, like
Hmm.
handcuffed to them. Like, what do you want? What do you want? What can I do for you? Until they fire you eventually. Um, but at least you got to be good to your star players. So I'm not going to play the audio. I'll just because it's kind of quiet in the locker room after the Grizzlies lost, and it was an Amazon Prime game. And Blake Griffin, I don't know if you saw this on your TikTok or Instagram, kind of broke down what um, what John Morant was not doing. He was standing around. The ball was on the left side of the floor, just standing around. He's not trying to cut to get to the basket, not trying to cut to get the basketball so he could drive. Just kind of lingering out there, right? And so the press went
Yeah.
in the locker room, was like, "Hey, are you hurt?" He's like, "Ask the coaching staff." Do you feel like you should have more playing time? Ask the coaching staff. Do you feel like the coaches aren't listening to you? Ask the coaching staff. And so now the reports are is that he wants out. He wants to be traded. There's a report from Mark Spears that said there's 5 teams that want nothing to do with John Morant. Now the conversation. Ja, you had a gun situation twice,
Hmm.
twice, and the Grizzlies kept you. You don't think you owe the Grizzlies something, like to be a good teammate, good citizen? I guess not when you don't understand the gun situation, not once but twice brandishing a gun and you're a star in the league. But as far as a good ball player from Memphis or being the face of Memphis, does that not matter to you? How could you be that when the Grizzlies took you back after all of this? I don't understand that. Am I missing something with this? That he's acting that way, knowing that he's the face of the Grizzlies and he's just indifferent to what's going on? It's not good.
He doesn't get it. And I don't know who in his inner circle needs to like sit him down and just really, like you said, have a conversation with him. Like you are royally screwing up at this point. You already got 5 teams that, despite your insane talent, want nothing to do with you. You are getting closer and closer and closer to playing yourself out of the league. And that is not anywhere he wants to be or should be for somebody of his talent. I don't understand. I don't understand how he doesn't see that. How he doesn't see the opportunity. I mean, just keep in mind, a couple of years ago, he nearly had the Memphis Grizzlies what in the Western Conference Finals when
Yes,
they made a playoff run a couple of years ago. Like it's set. It's ready for you to like literally take over not just Memphis, but to really be one of the faces of the league. You don't see his face anymore when you talk about the league stars. You see the that you're used to seeing SGA, Joker, LeBron, Steph. He used to be a part of that montage of players. That you would see for stars being advertised about the league. He is at the point now where if he doesn't just like get it together, like what are you doing? If he doesn't do that,
yeah.
he's going to find himself a year or two now just out of the league, and no one's going to be, looking for him or taking a flyer on him. He'll be in China. That's where he'll be playing. He'll be playing in China.
So you making him step on Marbury now?
Well,
That's what you're doing. That's what. Seriously, that's what happened to him. That's happened to Steph.
yeah,
You recall this, right? Like he had to go
yes,
to China. He got his own shoes or whatever.
yeah. Steph was wilding
Let
out.
me cue. By the way, have you seen the NBA on Prime? You haven't seen it
I
yet, right? Because it's
have.
early in the league, right?
Yeah, I've
It's
watched
very
the
casual there. It's
games.
like I
Yeah.
understand probably one of the reasons why you watch. I enjoy Taylor Rooks as well. She's a fine journalist. But it's very club like, very like VIP,
Hmm.
kind of a different kind of vibe. I'll cue this up to what Blake Griffin said about John Morant against the Lakers, just to be able to accentuate the point even more so. Let's give a listen to Blake Griffin.
What did you see from John Morant, Blake? Saw John Morant tonight. This is a guy who is insanely talented. I mean, right here, his speed is his number one weapon. And coming off a ball screen, passing the ball like this, kind of lazily cutting to the corner. This is not what's going to get it done for Memphis. And now the backside, I think you got to go for that right there. And then the very next possession coming down, you're kind of just standing in the corner, straight up, not even really engaged at all, almost having a conversation with Marcus Smart. Like for a guy that's making $40 million, and you see the leader team, like I just love it. I don't know if he was not feeling hurt, but it's a very bad sign. It's something that just has to change. Yes. The Grizzlies will only go as far as shot. When he's engaged, he's an all talent. Right, that's the call out.
What did you see from John? Well, okay, so um, so you heard that, right? You're from Blake
Yeah,
Griffin.
yeah.
Can I just tell you, boy, he made the switch. Blake Griffin made the switch from player to analyst quickly. When he
Real
brings
quick.
up the money,
Mm-hmm.
holy smokes! He brought up the salary like he called out his government. Oh
Yeah.
my! you you don't get that very often. So, but I mean, but his point's well taken. And you can find that on Instagram, like the actual video. Josh is standing around. I'm like, everything that you've gone through, you have to give. It's like you want to get traded. It happens all the time, but you
Mm-hmm.
just don't lay down because you're mad at the coaching staff for calling you out for lack of effort. Because that's really the impetus. A lot of this is that
Yeah.
this new coach is like, "Hey, man, we want more from you," and he's like, "Ask the coach." So I look, man. I just want him to understand that you know, as you were saying, you know, you're like one of the faces of the league at one point. You were like top 5, top 10, like faces of the league. And
Mm-hmm.
so now you're this. Like, I just want better for him. I guess that's my point.
Yeah, I do too, because he, like Blake Griffin said, there's too much talent. He's so incredibly talented as a basketball player. For his size, he's a little bit bigger version of Allen Iverson with the way he plays the game, and just explosive going to the basket. You just want to see that for 48 minutes. You want to see him engaged for 48 minutes. Him just kind of standing there, just not taking part in helping the team out. That's your teammates going to be looking at you strange. For starters, and you're killing the chemistry. Within the team. Not to mention, giving your head coach heart attacks and things like that. Yeah, he's just got to know better. He's got to know better. He's got to know. And if he doesn't, his father, somebody needs to tell him. Like, this is probably your last chance here, because if you mess this up, in Memphis, I I'm trying to think of a team that would take a flyer out on, and I just don't know if I can think of one.
Only the Bulls.
No, no.
That wouldn't work in Chicago. That'd be funny though. That'd be funny though. But no, that's not gonna happen here. I know some Chicago fans are watching this and just like, hey, just maybe, just maybe. Just quick note on Nikola Vucevic: almost 20 points a game, 12 rebounds, 4 assists. 59% from the field, 49% from three, 84% from the foul line, 32 minutes a game. He is cooking. He walks in with a double-double, and he's fantastic. All right, sir, please tell everybody about the ctjreport.net. What would I find there?
All right. You'll find some more basketball content, a lot more Bears football content as we are at the midway point in the season. And maybe, no, not maybe, we'll get back into some more wrestling content as I'm trying to catch up on all the stuff that's happening in WWE and AEW.
And also always active on TikTok as well, correct?
Absolutely. That's where you'll find me the most, either TikTok or YouTube. So, tune in. We got some good stuff going.
Okay. You got to get your stuff together on Instagram and on TikTok as well. Because if the Bulls falter, folks, that's the first place you go. Because it's like Kermit, he'll be on that typewriter talking to you about how shitty the Bulls are. So always look forward to that from one Charles Taylor. So that's always there if you need it for your Bulls entertainment and everything else in between. Sir, as always, I appreciate the time. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you, as always, for having me, sir.
And we are presented by the fine folks over at Illinois Department of Insurance. Hey, have you ever had a neighbor that you need to help out in a situation? Maybe you needed help shoveling snow or fixing that flat. Well, that's sort of how it works with Get Covered Illinois. Um, it is the official health insurance marketplace. Get Covered Illinois is here to help you find health insurance that fits right into your budget. That's right. They've got hundreds of people whose only job it is to help you for free. That includes insurance navigators at local nonprofits and insurance brokers certified by the state. Go to the website, getcoveredillinois.gov. Again, getcoveredillinois.gov. They're here to help. Well, we will have plenty on college football. Make sure that you're checking out our shorts. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com. Plenty on the Bears as well, as the Bears get ready to take on the New York Giants. Okay, the Giants are coming in. So we'll have plenty on that and of so much more. Thanks so much for checking out Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. So long, everybody.